Greetings, and welcome to the Never Gonna Do That Dimensional Transport Hub, where creativity is the art form. I'm your guide, Sara, and today my co-guide, Garrett, and guest traveler, Rodger, will join me on an untethered dive into new realities, alternate timelines, and unchecked lunacy. Before we begin, please be advised that this exploration program isn't for the faint of heart. All travelers should prepare themselves for strong language and violence during the journey. Please direct any course plotting and calibration requests to nevergonnadoThatpodcast@gmail.com. And now, it is time to cast off your face. If you would kindly step over to the door on your left or on your right, you may enter the Council of the Cages.
So again, I ask, what is with all this weird shit in the couch?
That's a story in and of itself. Who knows what kind of things you can piece together.
So,
yes.
This is one of the first ideas that we've had that was not our idea. It was a friend that I know.
You have friends in high places.
Well, I would say Margaret Thatcher is a pretty important person in the world. And they suggested, accidentally, it was kind of through a conversation, they said, hey, what if you went to a alternate dimension and you met yourself and you realized that they had a better life than you, so you killed them and took their place. I thought that was such a wonderfully fascinating idea. You have to ditch your life. And if you are a single person in your 20s, you don't have anything but some good friends and some family. You can ditch all that crap. But at our age now, all of us, we actually have a bit of a history here.
I love how you minimize their family and crap. They don't have that much of a connection because they've only been like really cognizant of their connection for maybe like 10 of their 20 years.
I think...
Yeah, you only get object permanence when you're about, 13 or 14?
Oh, come on. Don't you get that when you're 5? Oh, all right. Oh my God. We were supposed to be making fun of Sara, not me.
Oh, well. I'm so glad to have an ally.
I see Garrett reconsidering whether or not to have me on as a guest again.
I mean, you might not get elected again, I'll tell you that.
As long as she's well behaved when we're done recording, everything will be fine. You know, she gets a big head and she starts trotting around and
I find memories in the couch and I'm like, that was a good day. That was a day I was strong. I'm going to be strong today too.
I work really hard to be a strong woman just like you, so don't even start.
Girl boss.
I'm doing the best girl boss that I can do.
Anywho, bringing it all back to the beginning question that you posed. It's an interesting one. So you're saying it could be just somebody that doesn't have a lot at stake and they go to another dimension like, oh, this alternate version of myself is rich or is connected in certain ways, but it could also be...
Actually, I'm saying the opposite. That's the least interesting story.
No, that's what I'm saying. That what if it is something where maybe it's a marriage or a situation where you have a kid or something that has not lived up to expectations, and then you go to this other dimension and it's not the same there.
Dude, you're jumping right into your monster mode.
I am. I'm gonna eat the microphone in a second.
What if your kid has an arm growing out of its head? You go to this other dimension and your kid doesn't have that arm growing out of their head. Who are you gonna choose?
It really depends on what advantages you have with the arm growing out of the head. I mean, maybe there's something happening where that would be an evolutionary advantage. Maybe there's some toxic pollution going on in one dimension. Like, hey, I'm going to bring this kid back with me.
Oh, what if?
Oh, you don't even change yourself. You like bring somebody else with you over and swap them out.
Oh my goodness. I'm just suddenly imagining though, like a bit of a digression, but someone putting together a superhero team or some sort of Doctor Who kind of style organization or something, but it's solely of alternate versions of them that have developed powers or abilities just because of their different timeline.
Oh my God. I think we might have to take a big tangent now.
So wait, so your alternate self is like a master at spreadsheets and you're like, I'm bringing this person over for the big presentation. Maybe not that. Maybe working to save the world would be a more exciting premise.
The Council of Reeds.
Oh,
That's what it
my
is.
Goodness, yeah.
Yeah, wait, say more.
Yeah, Fantastic Four, Reed Richards.
Oh man, did I accidentally plagiarize Jonathan Hickman, or is that another Fantastic Four?
Don't worry, it happens all the time.
Absolutely.
We love you, Jonathan Hickman.
That story is such an interesting idea, and why aren't other people trying it out in different ways?
So explain for those of us that just said, yeah.
Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic,
Yes.
smartest man in the world, smartest man in the universe. He's up there. Him and his alternate versions from other dimensions all came together to create an organization that was to protect the universe.
Oh, like a secret society? Would they come together every once in a while? They would cross time and space and do a little wrist scan and be like, hey, how you doing? What's going on over in your neck of the woods? You know, little Al Roker chit-chat before the big congregation.
Al Roker, but more elastic.
I don't know. I've seen him in a little speed suit. I've seen him in those Olympic specials. So dimensional travel. So you're saying totally going in this wild superhero world versus real.
What if you mix the same idea, alternate versions of you grouping together with the Jet Li movie, The One?
Oh, yes.
Where like the whole thing is that this one real bad guy is going through and he's killing all of his alternate versions.
So he becomes more powerful with each one that dies.
And then the ending of it is the two most powerful ones have to fight each other.
Of course, there has to be a showdown.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it was that kind of movie. But what if it was something where your alternate versions all ended up getting wiped out accidentally, and all of that power ended up going to another collection?
Or the schlubbiest one. You know, you have all these cross-dimensional versions, the superhero and one who's like a super scientist. And meanwhile, in reality, 73 is the guy who just does spreadsheets all day. He never even got invited to the council of awesome folks across timelines. And then one day, there's an accident. Their evil nemesi, wipe them out. And it's just him and one other versions that have to save the day.
Because he played it safe all this time. He was just, laying low.
There was the one guy who was second string that wasn't out there that day. And then there is that other guy who was never even invited, but now suddenly can throw cars 100 yards.
I can picture it. Like, it'd be great, both a fish out of water comedy, but also great something about someone finding within themselves the power to be greater than they ever realized they could.
Seeing these reflections, but finding out the histories of these other versions of yourself, going, wow, I can see this in myself now, maybe. And then wanting to kind of live up to that, find that in yourself, and then whatever that might be. Maybe there is some sort of power, something that they just never realized because they weren't focusing on it or whatever. Now that there's this moment, you have to rise to the occasion.
And maybe that's all it is. It's about rising to the occasion. In third grade, he tripped over his shoelaces and everyone made fun of him. And then people continued to make fun of him. And so he just had low self-esteem. All of the other versions, his shoes stayed tied that day. So they ended up becoming superheroes and getting hot chicks and stuff.
I like how you're like, they're not going to the council. Well, why? Maybe it's just there's no interest or it doesn't care. But also maybe it's that he's left out or the other versions.
Yeah. Even his other versions were kind of like, this guy's kind of lame.
Well, this guy reminds me of how crappy maybe I could be. Let's just shove that in the closet. Let's not invite him to the party. So it's also that when he finds out there's all these things that I wasn't invited to, like I thought it was that one meeting. What? Then it's this whole thing.
Even me didn't want me there.
All of these like discoveries. Oh my gosh, this rejection by yourself. Multiple selves.
What if he finds out that he wasn't allowed to come in or whatever? And like it has nothing to do with death or, him gaining powers or anything. What if he finds out that him transdimensionally rejected him and then that made him a transdimensional villain?
Yes! A villain that's yourself fighting all of your other selves.
And you're angry at yourself. because let's be honest, we are all our own worst enemy.
Yeah. Lit had a song about it, remember, in the 90s?
But yeah, it could be some 60s Bond-esque type film, or it could be this Pixar animated villain version of yourself, because you could really go with all these multiple, and like make it realistic. You could really play with that dimension.
It could work.
Plus, there's a lot of life lessons for children there, too.
Yeah.
Love the worst parts of yourself because they make you the best of who you can be. Oh, God, there's like 80 taglines.
I'm seeing the schlub that they recruit the last survivor along with a second stringer, and it's like he's got to face down the villain, and he realizes who the villain is, and at the end having a moment where he like instead of just trying to destroy him, trying to understand him or accept him, and that being the moment that he actually wins. Whether the villain actually has a change of heart or whether the villain has the classic animated movie thing of he messes up and trips and falls because you can't actually kill someone when you're a good guy in an animated film. But you know what I'm saying. Like,
Can I just, outside of a whole animated thing, I would be so curious to see a villain who is fighting an alternate version of themselves. How nasty and horrible can that fight get?
Because you know your own worst secrets and worst flaws and weaknesses that you can play against yourself in really dark, emotional, angry scenes.
I think like
Rodger's looking and sounding very disturbed. He's like, yeah.
Like, no, I'm thinking of it, and I'm just like, you could do a funny version, just more of every bad memory you ever have, and like, remember that time that you said, and you too, to the person who told you to enjoy your show at the counter at the movie theater. Or it could be like, you could have saved her, and you know it.
So we're saying that we're meeting each other, we're fighting each other. How does that work out? You know, I like the comedy of it, but what if it is a little bit darker? What if you don't get to just work with yourself on something or come together? What if it is more you only get one choice or one shot to say, hey, do you want to stay here or do you want to go back to this other world? And I don't know what the difference would be. Maybe it's even just something environmental. It doesn't have to be that there's a better life in terms of money or this or that. It can just be, oh, in this other cross-dimensional world.
Are we still talking about facing ourselves, or are we talking about something else?
I'm talking about facing yourself in another dimension, but you just happen to find yourself in another dimension. Like you're living in a dimension where like, you know, it's crappy post-apocalyptic world, but then you go to this other world and it's living on Easy Street.
What if it's you live in a pretty awesome world, but your life personally sucks, and then you find a glimpse into like a post-apocalyptic world where like the world really sucks, but you're the badass. You are always hoping.
You've got a decent life where you live, you know.
But you're just as mediocre.
But there's some post-apocalyptic world where you're a warlord,
or you're like the chosen one who's going to defeat the warlord. Like there's the prophecy, and you're Mad Max and Logan all rolled into one.
Oh well,
little Book of Eli thrown in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on what are you looking for in life. Do you come up to the challenge? Is this moment where you're like, wow, like this is who I can be. I can save a people.
But you have to kill somebody.
But maybe that's
to
what
save those people, because you have to
that's
replace
the outlet you've been looking for. I mean, it's been a long several years as a temp, and you have a lot of rage in there that could fuel a revolution and kill a couple of people along the way, and they're like, rise up, and it's great
for the Union.
But maybe that's the thing. It's like you're in this life, and it's not maybe the life you think you should have, and there's just one moment where it's the turn that you take, and you're just this mediocre life. And then if something different had happened, it would have brought something else out of you. I guess untapped potential, or what awakens based on a situation, evil or good.
I don't know if you guys remember, there was an X-Men comic storyline called Age of Apocalypse back in the 90s. The concept was Apocalypse is this great society. He's this villain that the X-Men stopped handily in the main universe, but in this universe, for various reasons, he actually wins. The bad guys won, and the world is kind of post-apocalyptic. And they never really did much with the aspect that always intrigued me the most, which is that on the one hand, because this bad guy cemented his rule, there are a bunch of people who are in the regular Marvel universe who are good guys, but there are also people that like to follow the orders and the rules, so they became actually really awful villains following the rules. And then on the other hand, you had people that in the mainstream universe were freaks and weirdos and became villains because they were fighting. But in this reality, they actually became heroes. They sort of neglected, but it's like the question is it because they had that in them all along? Is it that they needed the right environment? Like no matter what, they were going to be fighting the power. In this world, the power is just so awful that like that makes them heroes.
Are we getting into nature versus nurture?
Maybe a little bit. I guess it is, what are those shaping incidents?
What if in this alternate reality that this person can choose to go to, the one where they're the hero, and they keep finding people that remind them of people from their normal humdrum reality where everything's dandy, but the person they think is their best friend is actually now the evil warlord's main henchman, or like the girl that they had the biggest crush on who was always so sweet and nice is a bad guy, or or like the person they always thought was an awful bully and kind of tiresome turns out to be actually a really nice person, being all these people in new lights.
All right, this is a weird little thought. What if it is a TV show and each week it's a new episode and it's a different version of yourself? And you start to get to know yourself through these episodes, but you come to these same critical moments, but in completely different situations. You're a warlord, you're a nanny, you're a broke student, and it's whatever moments within those shapes of yourself that you still rise to the occasion in that small moment or that revolution of taking down the government, but it's still the same characteristic inside. It's just manifest.
I'm hearing Sliders meets Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
Oh.
Instead of traveling through time, you're traveling through dimensions, becoming different versions of yourself in different timelines, and you end up running into the same people and having similar experiences.
And you're learning and growing.
And you learn, and it's growing more about the human condition rather than trying to save people or change history or something. You're learning about what situations can do to people and how they can change people.
Or what you see in somebody. For example, Marty McFly in the third Back to the Future.
It's the second.
No. When he goes and he sees his little family out west or whatever, and they're like settlers, he sees them trying to make a set. It's like, he sees his what his great-great-great-grandma. You see this version of yourself in this other time. Or whatever
I thought when you were talking about Back to the Future, you were talking about seeing his alternate in the alternate 1985,
which is fine. But see, you were a number 2 and I was a number 3. I went beyond poo poo and pee pee. I transcended to a new fluid state. Yeah, we went different places there.
Back
but the same idea.
Back to the Future 2 was my big Back to the Future movie. Rodger?
For me, Back to the Future 3, I think it was because when I encountered it, I was kind of like cowboys and like the dystopian stuff. I think when I first encountered it, was more like, this is a bummer. And then I was like, I want to see them have a flying train and beat up some bad guys in the Old West. And I mean, it was very juvenile, but yay, this is fun. This is what time travel's about.
See, I'm with you. Like, to me, it's like you're escaping. You're going super back to the back. Yeah.
2 had paradoxes and alternate histories. That was my deal, man. I don't know. It had hoverboards. You realize that movie took place in 2015? It's 2020. We still don't have hoverboards.
Wait, so you say cross-dimensional. Does that include time then? So you could see a version of yourself living, I don't know, in the Middle Ages, and then you could be a lizard person version of yourself.
In my idea, every day you wake up and it is July 1st, 2020, but you are in a different dimension. You are you.
Why July 1st?
Like in the multiverse.
Though?
You're in a different dimension in the multiverse, but at the same time.
Exactly. Okay, so not July 1st. Okay. Technically, it could be any day, but just like in the modern day. Relatable across dimensions.
You can still have the universe where
back and forth. But then again, if it's like an alternative timeline, it could be really wacko weird. There could be dinosaur people.
I don't know how many vibrations of a quartz crystal it has been since the Big Bang, so I can't tell you if it's the exact same amount, except for that one time where they do end up going to a dimension in which physics did not come up in the same way, and they're just some sort of floating sentient glob of matter in space.
I feel like that's the throwaway gag in an episode of who was the guy in Quantum, like Al, like being like, yeah, that's the one where that's the one where there's no physics.
It's a Futurama gag, yeah, but it's got to happen eventually. I mean, come on.
So is it just then you're on your own, seeing yourself over and over again?
Yeah. What does it build to? Is it? I mean, I guess I would sort of feel like at some point it has to build almost to the cross-time council of you or something, because you're banding together, or you're going through all this so that there's going to be a big thing at the end of the first season or the second season that you're actually got to be prepared for, and you've learned about it from all these different aspects.
Yeah, I think the end of each season is a 2-parter where you you have to do something that questions your moral judgment.
But so if you're going to each of these dimensions and you're seeing various versions of yourself, and so you're becoming this wizened old person of yourself, right? So then do you become the doctor of your own dimensional line? Because then you're basically going around being a little elf in the night going, oh, I'm going to help, or I'm going to bring about this person's realization of XYZ because I'm going to come in and I'm going to save the day with my sonic broomstick.
Oh, no, that's, yeah. Maybe you start off, there's an older character that seems to know that every episode they will show up.
You don't know that it's yourself.
You'll see the same person. And then maybe by the end you realize, wait a second, this is an older version of himself or herself going back to try to save them or fix them.
What if it's like
or even defeat them?
What if it's like a Teen Wolf kind of thing where it's a family genetic trait? So as soon as this starts happening, mom, dad, or grandfather, some family member is like, oh yeah, I remember when this started for me. It's super fucked up.
I noticed you've been hitting the Michael J. Fox a lot.
Well, no, all right. So Back to the Future is all me. Teen Wolf is all her.
Doc Hollywood is all me in another dimension. I don't
know. Luna's a big fan of Doc Hollywood.
Maybe that's what it is.
The movie that everyone remembers about Michael J. Fox.
And then Lando's a big fan of The Frighteners.
Oh man, I forgot about The Frighteners.
Oh, you can't forget that is
put it on the reel.
That cast.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if Michael J. Fox was going into a future audition and he's like, put The Frighteners on my reel. I want to show that work.
And they're like, Michael, no one watches your reel. They know who you are.
It's funny. You think Michael J. Fox needs a reel at this point.
That it's a reel that has The Frighteners on it. He's very convinced that this is some of his best acting work and he wants to have it highlighted.
Oh wait, he wants it in his Academy Awards in memoriam
Absolutely.
reel. With his Lifetime Achievement reel.
He wants the entire reel to be the movie The Frighteners.
Yeah. And it's like they're looking at the reel and he gets maybe like a final cut and he's like, this is okay, but it's like there needs to be like maybe a minute more of The Frighteners.
Michael J. Fox also insists on a clip from Risky Business in there. He wasn't in Risky Business, but he loves that movie.
And he likes wearing socks around the house.
We'll just put Michael J. Fox amongst the actors that have asked us to stop talking about them.
Wait, have you guys ever seen Class of 1984, by the way?
No.
Oh, it's not good, but it's worth watching. It has Roddy McDowell and Michael J. Fox, and it's about Youth Gone Wild, where it's like a bunch of punk kids have taken over a high school, and there's a teacher that decides to go in and help clean it up. He's moved from the country, like Utah or Canada or something.
Wait, I have a lot of questions. Roddy McDowell, who has the Utah, Canada accent?
Why is the country Utah or Canada? Because there's a lot of space in between.
I mean, and also that's where all the punk youth are hanging out in those two locations.
No, they're not hanging out there because those people are cleaning up the schools. Utah and Canada, there's no high school punks.
No, none at all.
No, there's a lot of, I don't know why, a lot of high school punks in Idaho.
There's some wild spuds out that way, I'll tell you that.
Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Did you really?
I did.
Wild Spuds in Idaho.
How did Devo never make a film called Wild Spuds? Wild Spuds can't be broken, only mashed.
This is like a total shift, but I want to bring it there. So what if there was a crisscross scenario across dimensions? You found a version of yourself that needed something done. It's kind of like the Billy Crystal, Danny DeVito, Throw Mama from the Train, but with yourself in another dimension. And there's something you need
so you're
done.
saying, what if it was a serious version of Throw Mama from the Train?
Or comedic, and it doesn't have to involve murder. It could just be one person is a really good, I don't know, there's something, dog show extraordinary, something like Clipper Cut, I don't know, and then somebody, whatever, and they switch, and the one is going to sabotage the dog show, and the other one's, I have no idea.
Throw Mama from the Train meets Looper meets Rope.
I'm just loving the fact that it's like, listen, Alfred Hitchcock, his film, Throw Mama from the Train.
Hitchcock's movie, Throw Mama from the Train. Crisscross. But that is a modern version of that, though, isn't it?
No, that's why I was like,
I gotta tell you, man. It's between that or Truffaut's Dude, Where's My Car?
This is so heady.
At the home, we as automobile. I don't know French very well.
I don't either, and I took 5 years of it, so.
We do not need to go into a conversation about
La Pruno.
the existential breakdown in McDonald's in Paris.
Where I couldn't order a basic spud, a frite.
And the thing is, and we had seen Pulp Fiction recently, so we knew.
America.
Yeah, we were her best little Chicago bang bang selves over there. What if it was, though? Like, what would you be willing to do for yourself?
You might think, this is the person I can trust because I know this person. Maybe they can do the thing that I can't, where it maybe is a darker version of, I mean, on the one hand, you could have the comedy. I can imagine that too, of them transposing and suddenly the one who's the successful one or good at one thing, one finds themselves totally out of water. And like the other one also maybe being interjected into some setting where they don't normally do well.
What if it was this weird fucked up rom-com where you guys switch with each other and it's your partner and the other is like, I want somebody that's serious and successful driven. And then the other person is like, you're always at work. I want to go have fun. I want to travel. And they switch and then it's a romance of two selves falling in love with the other partner and you never have to say anything.
That's not where I thought you were going with that.
What did you think I was going to say?
That's
really weird,
cute.
right?
I could see that as a really cute Hallmark movie.
Because you don't question too much about the loose sexual situation. Like, oh, but it's myself with my partner, but it's not really a swap 60s partner switcheroo because I'm still with the part. It's just a little different. And like everybody's happy about it because it's a better fit for this person's trajectory.
I thought you were going to talk about falling in love with yourself.
No, that's...
But I mean...
I was actually suddenly envisioning one of those really weird 60s French films, like Successive Slidings of Pleasure or something, where it's like, is this smut? Is this art? Is it just smart? Is it,
Smart.
I just came up with that on the fly.
That's wow. Ooh, God.
You need a column, sir. The wordplay. Okay, what if it is your God in heaven or you're like angels and shit?
What do you mean, what if?
Oh God, if this is heaven, we're fucked.
And of course there's going to be TV for them. You know, those reality shows where, we're going to swap husbands for a week, but it's a swapping of yourself with yourself in a different dimension, but they know about it. So it's people are watching from above and it's like, oh my God, do you think this person's going to learn from this person's husband and like realize from this person's boss and make it better? And
Does the person being swapped know?
That's all up to the way you want to play it. You could be this vengeful kind of gods.
Or you just wake up next to a stranger one day.
I was thinking, you mentioning heaven made me think heaven can wait, which is the one with Warren Beatty, where he dies too soon and he's got like sort of a guardian angel who's helping him talk through things now that he's in this new body. Like, you have like the friendly angel who's gonna help you. He could be Morgan Freeman or Viola Davis or Allison Janney.
It was remade with Chris Rock.
It was, you're right.
And what's funny is Chris Rock also remade, what was it, Love in the Afternoon, like that Eric Romer film as I Think I Love My Wife.
Oh, yes.
So Chris Rock is just going to do what next? Maybe he's going to do Godard's Weekend.
He'll probably just redo Death at a Funeral again.
No.
Do you know the director of that was Neil LaBute, the guy who made The Wicker Man?
Oh, really?
The remake of The Wicker Man. The remake with Not the Bees! Not the Bees!
Oh, God. Nicolas Cage. There's an episode.
Or everything we've talked about so far, just imagine Nicolas Cage as the star.
What if it's Nicolas Cage meeting himself over and over again, and sometimes his nose is the first nose?
Every main character we've talked about so far is played by Nicolas Cage.
Oh my God, it's levels.
A universe protected by the Council of the Cages.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
Oh my God. And then it's like, what is that fucking Smashing Pumpkins? It's something about rage and in a cage or something like that, and that's like the theme song of the show.
Despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage.
So you're suggesting that there's an angry rodent living inside Nicolas Cage, and they're just pulling all the strings and making him walk and talk?
This sounds like a Tool video.
At the heart of Nicolas Cage is just a rat pulling a bunch of levers.
It's the really trippy version of Ratatouille.
Oh my God, an adult version of Ratatouille that's claymation, puppeteering, lighting. Oh God, I love it. Time to make some nightmares for the kiddies. And of course, Nicolas Cage is going to be the voiceover.
You know, noted children's actor Nicolas Cage.
Oh my God, who wouldn't want to have Nicolas Cage in a children's film?
If I could do Nicolas Cage noises, I would right now. That was the best I could do.
Everything that we've talked talked about murder, romantic comedies. He can pull up. Was it Moonstruck?
Moonstruck, yeah. And not Lost Highway. The other David Lynch film, Wild at Heart. Those are two very different films.
Yeah.
But both involve highways in some way.
Yeah,
So,
there's just something unbridled about the man.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait. I just suddenly had the best idea that sort of pulls us all together.
Bring it home.
Universe where people can watch. Oh, man. I just realized it's basically the One Meets Galaxy Quest.
Oh, I love a Galaxy Quest.
Let's do it.
But the kicker is that this alternate reality can watch all these other realities. And there's one reality where they see this guy who's always doing cool, amazing stuff. Like he's stopping alien invasions. He's fighting down mass bad guys. He's saving planes from hijackers. Yeah. And they're facing a problem of their own. So they bring this man here, not realizing he's just some action star in a movie who's never done a thing in his life.
But it's
transdimensional.
Yeah. Freaking A. I can't. There's just so much. Could we also have Jeff Goldblum and Nick Cage somehow working together?
All right, here, wait. You know what? Hey.
What?
How have they never made a movie together?
I don't think it's safe to have Jeff Goldblum and Nick Cage on screen at the same time.
Like, oh my God, what if it was like Face Off 2, but it was Nick Cage and...
All right, hey, I am not going to record myself having an orgasm, so don't even start that. That's too much.
What do you mean? Then they're sliding their slimy palms at each other's faces, and then they're licking each other's palms, and they're rubbing it around, and it becomes this like weird, like
it's just 90 minutes of Jeff Goldblum and Nicolas Cage ripping each other's faces off and then eating it until they turn into skeleton bodies.
Well, I was thinking more like the Elastic Heart video by Sia, and it maybe, I don't know, Shia LaBeouf could be off on the side, but then it's just like an hour and a half of Nick Cage and Jeff Goldblum in ballet wear touching each other's faces in this dance choreography expression of Face Off, the movie, but in the most purest form of art, which is the human body connecting with another human body.
Also, it's two guys
in a cage, in Nick's cage.
It's two guys probably in their early to mid 60s.
I just realized they won't be with us together. They won't be with us forever.
Oh, God.
What if it was them as their age now, but then there was the CGI age reduced versions of themselves, like how Kurt Russell is in Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's them and then themselves younger, and then it's a quadruplet situation.
Kurt Russell did that on his own. That was not CGI. No, he is just that good of an actor.
I believe it. Goldie Hawn has some magic in there.
He is just that good.
She's keeping him alive. She'd keep me alive.
Has Goldie Hawn sent the cease and desist yet?
God.
That's 2 weeks from now.
Oh, if I could overboard...
Overboard 3, Independence Day.
If I could overboard that bitch, I would. I'd fucking knock her in the head so she couldn't... And then I'd have her make me some pancakes.
Okay.
Maybe not.
Now that you just said you would overboard that bitch about Goldie Hawn...
But you knew where I was... Oh my God, it comes back. Last time was like clone torture. I just keep going my dark side. I just keep tapping in to my cross-dimensional villain self. Okay, I just want to say, all right, so if we're thinking about like dimensional, could it be something where you're a cartoon, you're a puppet, you're claymation? Could you start playing with all of these like art mediums too if you're actually putting it into a situation? Couldn't you? Or we're never going to do that?
We're
You're like, nope. We're going to stop. We're going to stop at the choreographed, sweaty, sexy Shia LaBeouf is watching. Two men in a cage and Nick's cage and Zia is singing.
Puppets are just too far.
Puppets are
too far.
How about this? When you say
broomsticks for this scene,
you say two men in Nick Cage. I'm saying
in Nick Cage.
We're not gonna do that. Nick Cage isn't gonna do that.
Oh my God! What if Nick Cage was teamed by Shia LaBeouf and Jeff Goldblum?
You know we're gonna cut that out of the episode, right? Whatever you're saying right now, we're not gonna do it because it's going to get cut out.
Why though? But
that was so bad.
Why?
That was the worst thing. That was almost worse than your idea about clone genocide.
I don't know. The thing that goes hand in hand, that could be like...
You were really one of the darkest human beings I've ever met.
I think it sounds like a great coloring book.
We're never... Anything you suggest, we're never going to do it because you're a monster.
That's why you have me on the show. Oh, yeah, no, we're not going to do any of it.
Never going to do it.
No, but we are probably going to have Rodger back.
Rodger can come back, yeah.
Come back. We'll do him.
Yeah, because you were well behaved this time.
You were delightful.
Oh, no, I wasn't
Thank
saying
you. You're not
Rodger.
gonna
I was
overboard
saying
me?
Sara was well behaved.
Oh, I never get that kind of compliment until I'm a dirty whore.
Hey! Thanks for listening. Of all the infinite timelines, we're glad to share this one with you. If you want to share a little love with us, come check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Not Do Dat Podcast. Or for some private time, Never Gonna Do That Podcast at gmail.com. We will see you in 2 weeks when we start our second season with our first themed month, Scaretober. We gotta come up with a better name. I promise it'll be better than that.